You are listening to the Education Instigator podcast with Daneé and Jay. Time to disrupt the status quo and ignite a fire for educational equity.
Education Instigators with Daneé and Jay. Today we're going to go into some things. First of all, we're going to talk about how we became teachers, what made us become teachers. We're going to talk about grows, obstacles in the classroom as well as outside, and then those glows, some of our best teacher moments. So let's get it kicked off. Daneé, let's go.
So to start things off, I absolutely always knew I wanted to be a teacher. From kindergarten on, my earliest remembrances are about me wanting to be in education. School was my safe place. And so being able to replicate the feelings that I felt in school were like my dream. And so it is really, really amazing to be able to say that I'm doing my dream job. So I want to do other things. Like I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be an actress, but I always wanted to be a teacher too. And even with the singing, like as I got older, I was like, you maybe aren't a soloist, maybe you're a background singer. But I always knew I wanted to teach. So it's nice to even be able to teach now and then kind of sing in my classroom. And my kids are just like, you really think you can sing? They hate it a little bit, but it is nice to be living in my dream. So that is how I ended up wanting to be a teacher. My mom also is in education. So it just kind of felt natural. What about you, Jay?
Do you want to hit a note for us, Daneé?
What you want me to sing? No, I'm just like, no. We'll say that for later. Y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, I already knew what I was going to say. Look.
No, what would you about to
I just wanted to see if you
We'll
wanted
have
to
to
sing a
share
little.
that story. That's actually a really funny story. We'll have to share that.
With all the Marvin Sapp controversy, it'll be a great, you know what I'm saying, song to
Oh
hit.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a real quick story, but I had a speaking engagement in January. And at this speaking engagement, after I speak, people come up to me and they want to get my information so we can collaborate. And there was one gentleman that asked for my information. I shared it with him. And then later on that day, I got a voicemail and it was him wanting to take me out, wine and dine me a little bit. But he also revealed that he used to be a singer. And then he said he was going to give me a little taste of his singing. And what did he say, Jay?
Never would have made it.
So anytime you hear him bring up something about Marvin Sapp and never would have made it, this is him referencing that. I would share it, but I don't want to put this man business out there any more than it needs to be. So
Yeah, don't do that. But back to what we was talking about. That's a great moment, a funny moment in our history. Me becoming a teacher was definitely non-traditional. I actually went to school. Undergrad is a biology degree, kind of a pre-med path. When I was doing that, actually thought I was going to do something medical. Had worked in small fields of medicine and had to move home due to a car accident. And during that time, my sister was working at college. Mommy Jacobs at the time called me up and said, "Hey, we need an instructor. Would you like to help the allied health program?" And I was like, "Cool." I mean, my strength is anatomy and physiology. I went in and about within a week, I was like, "Yo, this is my passion, man." It was so amazing for me because I bring that story up to a lot of my students because one thing that's not said to young Black boys when they're intelligent is, hey, you could be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever thought about teaching? And that was something that was never said to me. It was always doctor, lawyer, engineer. And we kind of get into that funk talking to the young Black males. So understand education is an amazing thing, especially when it's your calling. And at that moment, within those 2 weeks, 1 week or so of teaching, I realized, yo, this is where I should have been the whole time. So I've been doing it 18 years, and I believe Daneé was this 12, 13 for you?
13 and a half. And it's so interesting that you say that because with me always knowing I wanted to be a teacher, I'm not a Black male, but I constantly was bombarded with people saying, are you sure you want to do that? You should look into something else. So I remember like even the teachers that I knew and loved, including my mom, just like, maybe you should go into law. Like, you're so smart. You have so many things going for you. I don't know that teaching is what you want to do. And it probably is not until you get into the classroom that you understand why so many people are like, oh, baby, pick something else. And it's actually something that I had to learn not to do when I talk to people who were potentially looking to be educators. And I just learned this within the last 4 years because we are so quick to say to students, like, are you sure you want to teach? And one, we know we need teachers, we need good teachers, we need teachers who want to be there. But also, there's a reason why you and I, Jay, continue to teach. Like, we obviously love it. Why would we take away that opportunity for other people? Yes, it can be very stressful, but this is a really, really fantastic field. So I'm definitely with you on that. So I took the traditional route going straight into college. I went to Ohio State University, the Ohio State University, and I had a full ride tuition scholarship, academic scholarship, and my degree was in middle childhood education, but there was some issues with the way the program was set up, and so I didn't end up getting certified or the master's degree that I was supposed to get right out the gate. And so I pretty much had a degree that meant nothing. Like, I had a degree in middle childhood education for English and social studies, and I couldn't do anything with it. I barely could even sub. That's a whole other story. But
Wow.
yeah, so I actually went an alternative route too, probably the same one that you did, which is the
Mhm.
alternative teachers licensure program through the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting that we have different backgrounds, but we both ended up at the same place the same way.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you heard of OCAL. I'm a little like she always brings up how much older I am, but OCAL was Ohio Core Accelerated Licensure Program, where they was doing a big push to bring math and science teachers into education. This is roughly about 2008. So I've already had been at Miami Jacobs for about 2, 3 years. I was doing pretty well. So, but I still did the program because it was cool, to kind of enhance my educational background. And like I said, it's education is amazing. And the problem we do have, and she said it prior, is that we do a lot of negative and of conversations about education as well as bashing it. So if you're a young person, especially if you're a young minority, we don't bash sports. We don't
Mhm.
bash
That's true.
professions. Like, guess what? Being a doctor is extremely stressful. We
Mhm.
don't bring that stuff up. It's like,
Yeah, that's
yeah, they
true.
get paid well, but if that's not your passion, it's a lot of stress. So we got to start learning to just realize, like, hey, we in this field, we love this field. Every freaking job that's in this world, there's gonna be some complaints. I mean, there's people that
Mhm.
work in a factory 60 hours a week and they love their job because of the money they make.
Right.
But by the time they 40, 50 years old, they down bad. Knees are tore up, back is bad. So no, I love it, man. Let's keep moving though, because unfortunately we got a small window today. Um,
So with that though, I don't want to like sugarcoat it, because when we say things are tough, I absolutely think it's important to bring up some of the difficulties. So going into the profession and even my platform that I have right now, I often talk about my own experiences with burnout because I was pretty much on my way out the door. And so when we think about what are some of those challenges that we face in the classroom, I know for me personally, it was never classroom management. I don't, is that your experience too?
oh, for sure,
Yeah. So I think that
I
Jay
get
and we're just kind of cool. So like,
you feel me?
we're the vibe. The kids like us. And so I think I maybe at the start of working at Twinsburg and then the start of working at Columbus Afrocentric were the toughest starts that I had. But even that was like a week of the kids trying me and they figured it out real quick. Like, nah, she's not the one to play with. So then, sit your butt down.
I had to put some light in here. My bad.
So it was never a classroom management issue. I would say probably the toughest part of teaching for me is the system. And I know that's like a super complex answer, but truthfully, that's what I feel. I am one of those people that came out like swinging, like I'm ready. I'm about to change the world. I'm about to impact so many students' lives. Every kid that I touch is going to just be great. And that's not the reality. And so it's been a constant learning experience for me to not dwell on what I see in the present. So that's that mentality switch of not focusing on the one kid in class that's not locked in and making that be my determination of how I did that day. I still work on that. Like, that's tough. But when you are set up in a system where your classes are not equitably set up for you to be able to meet the needs of all your students. Because we could talk about differentiation all day and we could talk about trying to scaffold learning all day. But when you have students that have severe needs and they make up 75% of your classroom and you got 90 minutes, because I'm in block schedule, 90 minutes with them in a day, baby, that's hard. Like, it is. I
Yeah.
like I physically see myself walking from like student to student, and we call it shoulder time. And Miss B, I need some shoulder time. Coming to student and saying, hey, go back, capitalize your name. And I got high school, you know what I mean? And so it's like little things like this that you spend so much time on. And I know like the last time I think I did it was last school year, but I left from school one day and I just was like sobbing in my car because I was like, I'm not being effective. I hate that this system is set up where I can't be the teacher that these kids need. I need so much more time with them. I need so much more involvement from families. I need so much more support from admin, and I'm not getting it. And so that's probably my biggest hang up. Go ahead. I'm talking a lot.
Nah, you good. I mean, that's kind. We kind of talk about the growth, right? We're right where we should be. Growth in the classroom for me is similar to what Daneé said. I mean, when you want to do this job, you want to be effective. And I mean, and I'm not saying every teacher in education is not effective, but you're reflective, like how effective am I? And unfortunately, and I have to talk to my department and within the high school a lot about focusing on those small numbers. This is what we do as teachers. My fifth period, horrible. And I'm like, it can't be the whole period. Who are the kids that are, because you got ringleaders in every class and they're going to test you, so going into those growths, biggest obstacles in the classroom really are students' upbringing, right? It's not students' education for me, because even if they're behind in reading, I can figure that out. Even if they struggle with certain parts of science, I can work through that. But when they don't have that same upbringing or even a push from their community or home life, that's my biggest obstacle. And I know I hate bringing it up because it's something I can't change. So I don't bring it up often, but while I'm on this platform, I'm speaking to parents like, hey, listen, you guys control these kids' destiny. I only get 46 minutes. She gets 90 a day. I see kids maybe
Every other day.
180 days, huh?
Every other day.
Yeah. So I'm 46 every day, 5 days a week. But within
86.
those 46 minutes, I can only instill in them a smidge of what you can do through their lifetime. You know, so when I look at myself, this is where that inside and outside the classroom is kind of compatible because I've had kids with struggles at home life and I can still find ways to push that child. But I know if I had just a small amount of support, right, that kid could probably be boundless. Like, man, I feel like because they're just trying to please me, right? Like, man, I'm gonna do this for Mr. Stone, or I'm gonna do this for Miss Pinkney. It doesn't continue to transition after they leave my setting. It's like, well, shoot, I did good in his class, but this teacher now doesn't really believe in me. So that's my biggest growth. And outside of that, because I've never been able to gauge how well of a teacher I am in my environment, far as high school at Trotwood, because I don't get those kids that if I can go in and say, hey, I need y'all to read chapter 1. We're going to discuss it tomorrow. We're going to do this. You know how you can have this beautiful laid out plan, but when you don't have the support outside, sometimes it is a struggle. And I deal with the struggle because I love that. But sometimes you do want it a little bit easier. I want to hear, I want to feel comfortable. I gave them something to read. They're going to do it. Like, I want to feel that way versus, all right, I know they ain't read. Let me go in and get prepared for a backup plan today. And that's my struggle most of the time. And I mean, like I said, outside is my parents. I mean, I get parents to this day still, and it's to struggle because it's high school. You got to learn, mommy, daddy, grandpapa, grandmama. Hey, in high school, man, they got 3 years before they're an adult. And if
Yeah.
you're not helping them learn about being an adult, you giving them a disservice.
But that's the thing that we talked about before, where it's like if you don't see that there's a value in education, which we know is pretty rampant right now in society, a lot of people feel like education did not treat them the right way, or they didn't get as much out of education as they were told they would get. And so you have a lot of parents that are sending their kids to school because they have to, or because they, the state is making them, or they got to work. And so there isn't a lot of buy-in. And I would even say, Jay, like what you experience is not unique to your type of school. Like that is,
I mean,
it's
true.
probably nationwide because I told you like one of my big struggles this school year has been me being the teacher of the year and going out and talking about the great profession of teaching, and then looking at my grade book and seeing I got one class where 2 kids turned in a summative assignment. So all the kids in that class got an F. I'm just like, are y'all kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And I would say probably one of my big pet peeves that goes along with that area of growth is when you do bring up these kind of issues, the way that we are just so quickly met with, it's about relationships, build relationships. And it's like, bruh, no, that's not my problem. Like, I'm like, listen, one of my babies did like left school early, came back to the school on his birthday to bring me some cheesecake his mom made. We have a great relationship.
Yeah, relationships there.
But that baby's not doing well in my class. And so it's like, it's not about just the relationships. Like, my kids love me and they will sit in my room with me all day and not do my work. And so it is a mindset thing.
And you're right. The relationship doesn't create value, right? I mean, because even if they mess with me or mess with this is my favorite teacher, I still may not find value in what I'm learning. That value comes from the community. That value comes from the household. It's much easier to look at a child with parents that already see their education for them. I can ask them as a freshman, hey, where you want to go to school? I want to go to, let's say, Morehouse. What you need to do to go to Morehouse? I need a 3.5 GPA. I need, like, once that kid already has that foundation, it's much easier for me to move them. But when that kid doesn't have a clue and they 17 years old, hey, what you doing when you graduate? I don't know. I mean, where can I create the value for that young man? So that's always my tug of war, trying to create value, because I tell all kids it's not about college for me. I'm like, listen, because our kids nowadays, that accountability is lost. I'm just not a good test taker. No matter what you want to do in life, if you want to be some form of professional, some business owner, there's probably a test you're going to take. I don't care if you're going to be an electrician, a plumber. Guess what? They're taking tests, y'all. EMTs take tests. Police officers take tests. It's not and they don't necessarily go through a 4-year college degree. They go to a police academy or whatever the case may be to get their certification. But there's a test involved, and we got to stop with this testing, telling kids, oh, we test too much. We test too much. Most things we do is tested. Guess what? There's not too many lawyers that's
And I
doing
think
their
there's
thing.
value in the test that your teacher is creating based off the information that you learn. Like, we can definitely scrutinize standardized tests, but when you talk about assessment in the classroom, that's necessary. Like, that's basic education 101. Like, you have to be assessed in the classroom, baby. You're gonna face a test. I know you might not like it, but you have to. And I think for our Black students especially, we really have to get them out of this mindset of not being interested. I would say, like, with my classes this year, I've been talking a lot about not just being consumers, but being producers, because I teach a
Yeah.
Black literature class for seniors, and the kids are locked in class. As long as I'm talking, I'm reading with them, we're working together, they love the class. They do retain so much information, but the minute they leave that classroom, they're not doing anything else. And obviously, I'm overgeneralizing. I definitely have some students who are, but I would say that a pretty big chunk of them are not. And so I've been talking to them a lot. Like, you don't have the luxury as a Black student to not do things that are tough, because
Yeah.
that's just the reality of your future. Like, life is tough. You have to,
Yeah.
and and I say all the time, if you are willing to fight for it, then do that. But if you're not willing to fight for this battle in a way that matters, that will help everybody, then don't. So if you feel like it's not right that you get homework every night, are you willing to write a letter to our superintendent? Are you willing to post an op-ed on a local publishing site? Like, are you willing to actually bring students with you to the Board of Education to speak out about it? Because if not, all you're doing is complaining. If you really feel like there's an injustice, then you have to put some action into it. And so I think that's probably the toughest part, like we said, of education for me, is the system. I would say even right now, the system that is kind of working against us is the social media system, the way that the algorithms are just controlling our babies' brains and whatnot. And so they are disinterested in learning. There's not a lot of buy-in because of society. We have this massive mistrust right now of public education in general, which is a whole different conversation, but that plays into it. So then we have to talk about, well, what keeps us coming back? Then what is it that makes you feel like this is where you're supposed to be? What gives you your warm fuzzies when you leave
Yeah, I
the
mean,
building?
that's them grows, man. But
Yeah.
The growth is just seeing my kids succeed, right? And one thing I try to get parents to understand, first of all, she spoke about it, self-advocacy. When our kids learn self-advocacy, that's amazing for me because they learning how to stand up for what they believe in is not common. You know, I mean, we think kids just have it so much easier nowadays. If they do this, I mean, we didn't have all of that. But guess what? They ain't got the same supports either because they were given all those electronics at 2 and 3 to say, "Hey,
Right,
get
and they don't know
back."
how to use them. Like,
Correct.
that's the difference between, Jay, are you a millennial? Yes, I did the math the other day. So, with us millennials, like, we experienced life without all this stuff, and then we, like, had to gradually learn how to do it.
Right.
And so even something as simple as, like, copying and pasting on a document, I went back and forth with a student. I was like, "Wait, just right click. What does that mean?" Right click, copy and paste. It's like, I don't have any idea. And don't get me wrong, the students can learn if they care to, but like we already said, the mistrust is there, so they're not really buying in. They have to see that it's relevant. And
I
so
wanna
we
say oh, my
go ahead.
bad. Go on, Daneé.
I would say we just take advantage of or not take advantage. We take for granted the fact that kids really don't know what they don't know. Even something like, I don't know, using the microwave. You just assume a kid knows how to use a microwave, but if you never teach them how to, like, you can't just like go heat me up some water. Like, they don't know how. You have to teach them. So
I make it simpler, man. Listen, I learned from my own child. My daughter didn't get a house key till she was about 5th, 6th grade and didn't know how to use it. And it was the weirdest thing. Like, you know, I
right.
looked at her through my Ring camera, like, you know how to open the door? You know what I'm saying? So,
But ain't that crazy?
yeah,
Because we had them like at what, kindergarten? We was like coming
man,
in letting
listen,
little latchkey kids.
man, come on now. I'm over there. Yep, that's what it was called. So I was just in shock. Whereas my younger son, I learned from her, like, I'm not going to do that. But I'm gonna put the grows out because we going a lot of this is honestly parenting because even we got parents fighting this cell phone issue. Oh, what? They don't have a cell phone. What happens if it's an emergency in the room? I'm gonna tell y'all this, parents. You can hear me right now. They may not agree with this. You sound dumb.
No,
You
I
sound
do agree.
dumb.
I'm very anti-cell
No,
phone.
I'm just saying when parents, when y'all say this, I see it on social media. I see
Oh
y'all.
yeah.
If y'all take away my kid's cell phone, what about an emergency?
It's like that. The first responders are telling us all the time that does not help any situation, and the emergency percentages are so low compared to the fact that your kids, the percentages of it being an emergency are just as low as your kids' GPA. So, babe, take the
Thank
phone.
you. I mean, and that's the saddest thing because y'all making excuses for the kids before something even happened. What
Yeah.
if there's an emergency? What if your kid could do better in school without a cell
Right.
phone? Like, ain't that what he at school for? Like,
Yeah.
you already put that fear inside his mind. But let me jump out for that.
And just
I'm
as scared as you are for your kids, like that's how teachers feel. I don't know a single teacher that would be like, no, you can't get your phones in the middle of an emergency. Like I would imagine in that emergency, I would let my kids go get their
But the
phones.
thing about it is, guess what, parents? There's phones in the school and they're hardwired. So if there was an emergency, the same way if it was an emergency when you was in school,
Yeah. In
there's a phone in the
1997.
classroom. They
Hmm.
don't have to call from a cell phone. Guess
Yeah.
what? I've raised 3 kids. One is in college who had no cell phone throughout his whole school day in high school. I have a daughter that I will take her cell phone away when she gets a lower grade than I expect for her. Sometimes that's a B, yes. And it doesn't bother me because I know there's someone around that has a phone or there's a phone in the school. So we have to stop
Do
making
y'all
these
have a no
excuses.
phone policy at your school?
At
Okay.
Trotwood, we do. We have a
Yeah.
no cell phone policy. However, we got some teachers that don't follow it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. The
Yeah,
consistency is tough across the board. I mean,
yeah,
that's
I'm
a
big,
that
but I'm big on
colleagues is a whole other conversation that we'll have. I would say one glow about even cell phone policies though has been from the students who are honest. So I've had so many students that just flat out admit, like, you're right. I didn't realize how much I don't focus when I don't have a phone.
yeah.
And this, like, y'all will learn that I'm very, very me with my students. And so I told them last year, like, oh my gosh, I thought that some of y'all were really not smart. And it was just your phones. Like, look at y'all. Y'all are
Mhm.
stupid. And my kids was like, okay, you trying to play us. No, but really, it
Look
didn't
at y'all on a roll, you know?
like you you know how to read actually. Like what
Yeah.
when you I mean it got bad though, Jay. Like I mean, I would walk around the classroom and kids would just be flat out watching Netflix. And I'm just like,
But
what
those same parents get mad when they go to the fast food and see the kid on their phone like, "Hey, excuse me, I need to take my order."
that's a good
Like,
point.
well, what if it's an emergency, mom? What if there's an emergency? Daddy needs a cell phone at work. Like, come on, man.
Good
This is
point.
what y'all instilling in these kids, right?
Yeah.
Now let's go pro. Let's go
I
positive.
know. We
It's
need to
tough. Look,
a lot more time.
we just started
Okay,
off
so let
talking
me go.
about we gotta
Let me
talk
go.
about the pop.
Grows.
Give me them girls.
Glows. Okay.
Glows. There we go. My bad.
So
Glows.
some of my favorites.
When you got that glow.
I think.
She too young to know.
Yeah, I don't know that. That's when you got that glow. I don't know that one.
Last Dragon. Just keep it going. Go on with your glow.
Is that Bruce Lee boy?
You know it.
So when I would say the highlight of my career has definitely been last school year, because every year in my Black Lit class, my students do some type of like PBL, civic engagement type of activity. And last year they collaborated with students that we had met in Ghana. And so they did everything themselves. Like they put together a sponsor letter, sent it out to community leaders in our area. They put together a fundraiser for their classmates. They got on Instagram and Snapchat, sent out notifications telling them to come out. They would have vlogs and video chats with the students in Ghana. And it was just a really, really beautiful experience that was stressing me out. Like I was just for sure that these kids was not about to follow through. I remember like losing sleep for 2 weeks. Like they're not doing the things they promised they were going to do. And then that week of the event, I started having kids emailing me at like 2 a.m. and kids popping up to my room in between classes like, Miss Pigney, I need to figure out when this person is going to do this. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get my mom to make this. And they were like really panicking. And so I absolutely was like, oh, you guys are buying in. This is fantastic. And the event was wonderful. And the best part is definitely hearing back from those students. That's probably my biggest glow is when you hear back from students years later. You hear back from their parents years later, and they're just updating you about their life. They're telling you how much they loved your classroom. And the word that really gets me lately is when kids email me saying the words empowered. You made me feel empowered. Parents email me, I love how you empowered the students, because to me, that is the biggest, like, I'm like, I could maybe, if I didn't need to buy expensive eggs, I could maybe live off of those types of emails and letters and whatnot.
I agree. I agree with Daneé on that, man. One of the biggest glows that you have as a teacher holistically usually is the success of your students, man, and them reaching back to you. Like, I'm gonna tell you, one of my biggest glows is right in my classroom. If you walk into 4440 Union Road, that's the high school, Trotwood. You can look on my wall and see students that have gotten a 5 on a science EOC, which is the end of course test here in Ohio. And when I got to Trotwood, one statement was, man, kids here don't get 5s, you know. So to see this wall start to fill up with names has been like a major glow, and to see kids try to attain that, you know, that's even cooler now. You know, to go from a year where kids are like, nah, that ain't gonna happen, to now this year. Like I'm in year 8 at Trotwood and hearing kids, I'm gonna have my name up on that wall at the end of the year, Stone. I promise you. I'm like, all right, cool. That's what's up. You know, that's a major glow. And also when they come back, I get the kids that come back because they hate my class at first because I'm very rigid. Like, listen, if you want to be in science, I do a journal. I mean, and it's a scientific journal where it's all graphing paper. So the kids already can't stand it because it's graphing. And I make them do a lot of writing. Unlike her, I'm not an English teacher, but I'm big on how science is outside of school. So if you go into any engineering firm or any biology laboratory research, you're going to see these type of journals where it's graphing paper because they do a lot of data-driven things, graphing and labs. So they use this thing the whole year. That's what I grade from. And I can remember early, it was like pulling teeth, man. They like, I ain't using it enough. You gonna use it or I'm not grading, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And to see them come back from college, hey, Mr. Stone, like I teach anatomy as well. I'm in my nursing class and everything in that notebook I'm using. You know, those are the ones where you like, I told you I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So the students reaching out is the coolest because I don't give students my phone number until they graduate. Like they'll be like, hey, Mr. Stone, can I get your number? Nah, you good, man. Wait till you get up out of here. Because first of all, they don't need my number anyway. They don't even need my social media, none of that. I ain't no big social media.
I do the social media after they graduate, except for TikTok. I let them all follow me on TikTok because I really don't use it. That's not my thing. But
see, unlike Daneé, I ain't a social media person. She's getting me on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm learning little by little, inching in. But
did you tell them what your sign says in your classroom?
Which sign?
about the fives.
Oh yeah, I got 5 on it. I got a sign. I
I'm
had a
gonna say
student.
that's like the best part. You missed that.
Oh yeah, my bad. I got a sign that says so. Like, the same student that drew this education instigator diagram for me drew him and another student, Persia Simmons. I want to get in there. Alex Fisher. I want to give them their just due. These are students. One graduated last year. One is a senior this year. Um, Drew on my wall. I got a 5 on it, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all and ask for permission. I was like, look, this will be cool. I want to inspire these kids. So, I'm old. So I got 5 on it, and the kids come in like asking about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are the kids. So they read the names, and it's the coolest thing. Real talk. Going back to that, because they'll see a kid that they did not know was that
Like
intellectual.
he got
Right?
a 5.
Yeah, like
I know if he got a 5, I can get a 5.
So that's the coolest part. I'll be like, nah, y'all don't understand. I told dude, like a lot of kids, this is where we need teachers like Daneé, myself, those that know their kids. When you come into a community, you gotta learn the kids, right? Because all of them may not be great on books, but some of them you gotta be able to read between the lines, like, yo, this kid, he don't need to do work. He's gonna pass without any even trying. And speak that into the kid. Because we get so caught up on he'll never do work, he don't do this, but he balling on these tests. So you gotta go, hey, I see why you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a side note. Most definitely this job it brings a lot more joy than pain. A lot more glows than grows. You get some days where you're in a funk, but I wouldn't still be in it if it was all grows.
Yeah, I think it's like like if you look at it just in that day, it feels like more grows. But when you pull back, what you think, a week? Is that too short?
See, we got a 48-hour rule at my school, right? But see, I'm gonna
Okay.
keep it real with y'all. Because I was that kid, I ain't saying I was the horrible kid, but I was mischievous. Like I've done some things where I'm like, yo, what the heck was I thinking in that classroom? I'm able to give kids more leeway, right?
Mhm.
They can have a rough day. I tell my kids they want, y'all gonna have a rough day, and that's cool because I'm a grown man. I'm gonna have a rough day. I said, but
Yeah.
how you handle it and come back from it is how we're gonna continue to progress. Because I don't believe in grudges. You got teachers, you probably teach with some that, yeah, I don't like so and so. Like, how do you not like a kid, right? You
Mhm.
know what I'm
My
saying?
level of how much I care for a kid goes into how much I don't like the kid. So like the kids, I'm like, I gotta extra love you because I have to like combat
Yeah.
the way I
I just
feel.
tell the kids, I don't like your parents. Like, yo, it ain't you, it's your parents. You hear me? Like, listen, y'all parents ain't get y'all upright, because this is ridiculous, because kids only allowed to do what their parents allow them to do.
Mhm.
Uh,
So I was
that's
saying, like, if you pull back, would you say like a week? If you like look at the full week, would you say that the week has more glows than grows? Because I
oh,
know
for
if you
sure.
look, okay, yeah, I was thinking like a week. If you zoom out, you can see it like glowing.
I was thinking you were saying, how long does it take for you to get over those grows?
No, because like sometimes my like I don't know, like you said, we're human, so sometimes I was having a bad day. It ain't really got nothing to do with the kids. I'm the same way as you. I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, or beginning of school year, I'm like, hey, listen, I might not have a good day, and I know I got an attitude problem. So if you ever catch me having an attitude, feel free to check me. I mean, do it respectfully, but just like Miss Pink, you kind of tripping, and typically that's all I need. That's all I need to. Oh, dang, you're right, I am. And then I
Man,
often have a co-teacher, so I say if you feel like I'm in a mood, talk to him. And
listen, I'm gonna give y'all teachers, man, something for free right now. If it's a kid that's usually solid, don't give you a lot of issues, and they have a bad day, to break the ice, right? That's all you say. What is it, man? You having trouble with your boyfriend, your girlfriend? And instantly they're gonna say something.
oh, they're
Whether
gonna
it's,
say something.
yeah,
Mhm.
why I gotta be my boyfriend? Ain't got nothing to do with it. Ain't got nothing. But they first of all, they're gonna be like, oh, he really does care. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they're gonna give you some talk. I do it all the time, man. The only reason kids get mad is usually a boy or girl thing. It ain't really too much. They ain't paying too many bills. That's a few.
I got every
But
year. I got a group of girls that come and complain about their moms every year.
yeah, that's possible. But I mean, you probably complain about yours too.
I didn't. I loved my mom when I was.
I complain
My
about my
complaints came with her later. All right, so like let's just wrap it up. In an ideal world, what do you see changing? Just let's pick one thing and let's not be long-winded. What is one thing that you would change to make education a dream?
politics.
That was a good answer. I wasn't ready. Was you extra prepared?
Nope.
Um,
I came off the dome because you just got that article about DEI getting cut up out.
Did I say one word?
Come on.
I said one
Not
word
even.
for myself. I shouldn't have said one word. I said one thing, didn't I?
But one word. Let's go one word.
No, I can't do one word. I
Come
can't.
on. You English, politics, y'all.
Structures. But now I have to explain structures. I don't like that we send all kids to all classes in high school. I hate that. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like at that point there should be like an exploratory program. There shouldn't be students that are in certain classes
I believe
taking
in that.
certain subjects. So that's just my thing. While we have it though, you do the hard things because you have to do hard things always. But like that's my ideal world.
Hey, Daneé got the cheap stuff, man. So we got less than a minute.
All right, last call. What you gonna say?
All right, last call.
Less than a minute because somebody was late.
I want y'all to tune in.
3 days.
We got some stuff to talk about. One of them is going to be merit-based pay. I need y'all to look on Education Instigators Instagram and comment on that because I want to kind of take in that information.
Yeah, that's a good point. At Education Instigators on everything. Not Facebook. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What else we on? Substack, Spotify, and Apple. We're on podcasts. We're on all of those. So follow us, like, subscribe, whatever it is that you need to do. Get locked in with us.
Please do. Thanks for watching.
You got to say your line.
Education Instigators out. You gave me a tagline, guys.